My partner has PMDD. Now what? This is the title of my new course that just became available. And for the month of December, I am going to give the first 12 individuals who purchase this program a private session with me to go over all of the modules with them and customize it to their relationship only for the month of December and only the first 12 individuals. This course is specifically designed for partners. If you've ever said to yourself that you want your partner to be more supportive, you wish that they knew more about PMDD, you've been sending them articles and they're really just not changing their behavior. If you're the partner, you've read more about PMDD, but it's not giving you the actionable tools on how you can get your relationship to be better, to reduce that stress in your relationship. If you're even on your last leg and you're saying, Dr. Rose, I don't know if we're going to make it because we've gone through so many fights, we've gone through so many arguments in PMDD, we're really close to fearing the next month in PMDD because we barely made it last month, and you're feeling like you need the actionable tools as the partner on how to be more supportive and then also get your needs met. Because I know that partners go through so much when they're in PMDD and they need a place to really process that and really understand what am I doing wrong and stop beating yourself up. And most of all, stop walking on eggshells. This program is designed so that both the partner who has PMDD and the partner who doesn't, to stop walking on eggshells within your relationship and get back to that place of having the peace. Because that's one of the biggest things that PMDD can take away from your relationship because of why the chaos and confusion of not really understanding what to do in PMDD, what happens in the luteal phase, what do I need to do? What do I need not to do? What are the mistakes that I'm making? This course is going to give you all the information that you need. It's going to go through the PMDD symptoms. It's going to go through the number one partner mistake. It's going to go through intimacy, attachment styles, family dynamics, friends and families. And then most importantly, I am giving you my signature 6 characteristics of a supportive PMDD partner. And I'm giving you the actionable tools on how you can start implementing those within your relationship. So I'm looking forward to the first 12 individuals. You'll be able to book a session with me that is going to be complimentary with this program, along with all of the workbooks, the tools, everything that you need is in this program. And it's called My Partner Has PMDD. Now what? I look forward to hearing about the transformation that you get from this course. I'll see you in there. We got this. Today, I want to talk about PMDD and stress around the holidays. This is something that I know that you're going through right now. If it's the holiday season and you're suffering in PMDD, I remember so many times I've wanted to schedule holidays around my luteal phase, around my PMDD days. And I was dreading when I would look at the calendar and see that I was going to be in PMDD around the holidays because I almost knew that it was going to be a fight. It was going to be an argument. It was going to be stress. It was going to be not enjoyable. And I remember thinking that it was so hard for me to see so many other people enjoying the holidays and having fun and looking like they're feeling light and free. And I felt more stressed, more overwhelmed, more misunderstood, more under pressure to show up a certain way, to not show up a certain way. And it really exasperated my symptoms. That's the first thing I want to let you know is that when I was in PMDD and I was trying to be a certain way, around the holidays, it just made my symptoms even worse because it felt like I never had that outlet to really say how I was really feeling because I felt like I needed to show up a specific way so that I didn't trigger my partner, so that I didn't trigger anyone that I was going to be in contact with. And it stressed me out. And it almost made me have multiple breakdowns because I was holding so much in. That's the thing that I want you to understand about when you go off on PMDD rage and when you're holding so many things in, it actually makes you feel like you're going to lose your mind because your mind and your body cognitively are not meant to hold in stress for long periods of time. Yes, if there's a stressful event, if there's a traumatic event, you know, PTSD happens when there's a really traumatic event that happens and then it's over and you're still remembering it again and again and again. But your body and your mind is not meant to experience stress. Your body and your mind is not meant to have your cortisol levels elevated for long periods of time. In traumatic events, you go into that fight or flight mode, you deal with the situation, and that's it. But when we have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, we get into this realm of going 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes even 3 weeks. You know, I have so many private clients where they say, Dr. Rose, I only have one good week. It really feels like I'm going through a hard week with my luteal phase, another hard week with my luteal phase. I'm suffering in my ovulation phase. And then I have my cycle and I have the normal cycle symptoms. And then there's this glimpse of the week where it's like right after that. And then PMDD comes. And I know what that feels like because I remember when my PMDD days got shorter and shorter and shorter. And I felt like something was closing in on me. Like it was the walls were closing in. And I was like, wait, I barely recovered from last month. How am I going into next month with the same level of stress and trauma and things that we haven't even dealt with in our relationship? And now I feel like that's how you can really go into autopilot. Today I really want to talk about the stress and the holidays and what that looks like, mainly because I've had an influx of clients where they've held things in and then they've gone off in ways that are, like I talked about on the last couple of episodes, abusive. And their behavior, they're almost like unrecognizable. And then they're feeling so guilty and they're feeling so ashamed. And then they're apologizing to their partner. They're apologizing to their kids who saw them go off, heard them go off, and they're feeling like this monster and they're feeling like you don't want to be here. Like you're getting to that realm. It's like, why am I even here? I feel like they would be better off without me. Because you've exhibited such harmful behavior, you literally begin to think like I shouldn't even be here. Like they deserve so much better than this. And you start beating yourself up and it doesn't make it any better because like I said before, you know, when you do damaging things in your relationship, it doesn't mean you have to throw your whole relationship away. And this could be the relationship with you and your partner, or this could be the relationship with you and your children. You don't have to throw the whole relationship away, but you do have to get to a point where you're rebuilding. And part of that rebuilding is literally revealing what you need to heal, exposing the things, not acting like nothing happened, not expecting a one time apology is going to erase all the traumatic events that have happened in PMDD. It's really dealing with the bulk of what has happened emotionally, physically, mentally, all the things in these PMDD episodes. And I don't want you to feel ashamed about it. Because I feel like what happens is you feel like you don't want to talk about it. And then so you avoid it. And your partner, who genuinely just wants you to be happy, just wants to enjoy the relationship, they go into the realm of ignoring the issues too. They're like, oh, okay, you don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Nobody talks about it, but it doesn't go anywhere. And I know this because when I'm counseling clients, they're not forgetting the things you said. They're not forgetting the things that you've done. They're just not bringing them up because they want to enjoy what little good moments that they have, but they're still remembering it. The remnants of those traumatic events, of the traumatic things that have been said to them, of you saying that you want to leave, you saying you don't want to be with them, you saying that they make your PMDD worse, all of these things, they don't forget them. And they think about them and they ruminate over them. And I remember in my journey with my partners, I did the same thing. When I was feeling better, I expected my partners to feel better. And I'm like, oh, like, and I thought because they were acting like they were good, that they were actually good, but they were not. Because when it came to the end of those relationships and everything really came out, they really told me, like, I never forgot that one time that you said that to me. I actually will remember one time a partner broke up with me over something that I said when I was in PMDD out of anger, out of frustration, out of holding things in. And I was like, you're the reason why I'm feeling like this. You're the reason why I'm going off. You're the reason. You're the reason. There was so much blaming and so much criticism and so much stress and so much frustration and overwhelm. And I remember when he broke up with me, I was so shocked because we were 2 years into the relationship, 2 years into the relationship. So many things were intertwined, but there were so many other things aligned. And when he broke up with me, he literally said, I can't be the reason all the time of why these traumatic events are happening. Like I can't be the reason. And that's why this is not going to work for me because every single time something comes up, I'm the reason and I can't live with that. And I didn't understand in depth the burden that my partner was taking by me saying those hurtful words in PMDD. I didn't understand. I thought I just said them, I went off, and then they recovered and we were good. But they stuck with them and we never did counseling. We never really addressed, okay, let me uncover this. Let me explain this. Let's talk about this. Let me find different coping mechanisms for dealing with my PMDD rage, my anger, and all of the things. I never did that. I just took for granted that my partner at the time was willing to just keep going and act like nothing happened. But I don't think that that's sustainable. I know it's not sustainable. I've seen it with my own two eyes from my personal experience. And then also with my clients, your partner will take a lot of things until they don't. And when they get to the part where they're not taking it anymore, I can't reel them back in. You can't reel them back in. They've already made the decision. And a lot of times it's not this big, grandiose like announcement, like when you're arguing with your PMDD partner and they're saying, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm going to leave and I'm going to this, and they don't leave and they don't go anywhere. I'm not talking about that. When people are ready to leave relationships, there's not a lot of announcements. That's what I've noticed is when you're ready to leave, you've been internalizing it in your mind. You've thought about it. You've thought about, okay, I've gone through 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, 5 month, 6 months of the same situation. It's genuinely not going to change. And it's destroying my mental health. I feel like I'm losing my freaking mind. I'm out. And when they decide that they're out, like it's too late to get the counseling at that point because they don't want to talk about it. They're not in a place of being open to using the tools, and you get to this point where you're feeling like I'm trying to work on this and I always tell private clients like don't wait. Do not wait for your partner to get to the point where they're trying to leave before you decide to get help, because by that point the person has already made it up in their mind. They're already planning an escape. They're starting to visualize what their life is going to be without you. um and it's a painful experience. But at the end of the day, they're thinking about what is going to be the best way for me to survive. Because a lot of times what they do is they compare your current life to their past life. Like, oh, before I was in this relationship, I was like this. And before I was in this relationship, I was like this. And that's a dangerous place to be because it makes it seem like the grass is greener on the other side. And sometimes that may be true. So, what I would suggest when you get into these realms, especially around the holidays, is if you know that you have things going on in your PMDD relationship, even prior to the holidays. Number one, holidays have the propensity to bring a lot of things up because you're around a lot of people. People are noticing how you're interacting with your partner. You're getting really snappy because you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed about all of the stimulation of the events that you have to go to, the people that you have to be around, the past traumatic events. Like, I'm pretty sure there's past trauma in your parents or your partner's parents. Like they now you got to be around them and they have their own judgments and they have their own things that they say about the kids. And there's just all these things that you're dealing with. And if you're in PMDD and your partner is in PMDD with you, basically, you guys are dealing with a lot of stress right now. And so I really wanted to make sure that I did this episode and really focus on the holidays because this client that I had, they went off and they didn't go off based off of some like a one-time thing. It wasn't like a one-timer. That's why when a lot of people say, "Oh, why don't you go to anger management?" No, no, no. This is not a situation. PMDD rage is not a situation where you need to go to anger management. This is you are suppressing your anger, your triggers for so long then you end up going off on PMDD rage. And when she went off, she broke things around the house. She tore the house up, showed me pictures. It was horrific. And her kids, unfortunately, are older. So they're in their teens. They were like 10 and 14, and they heard everything. And this is what I was talking about on the last episode where I was saying, a lot of times where you're thinking that your PMDD is just subject to your partner and they're the only person, when you get to the realm of not being able to control your PMDD symptoms, it translates into your parental relationship, meaning you can't even hold it in for the kids. And so in this situation, she had been telling her partner, I need help with the chores. I need you to do this. I need you to do this with the in-laws. The in-laws are coming. I need you to do this. And she was saying the things that she needed again and again and again for weeks. And she got so overwhelmed and she got so stressed that he made a small comment of whatever the situation was, that he wasn't going to be able to do something. And she completely went off, destroyed so many things, said so many hurtful words. But again, yes, she was in PMDD, but was it a one-time thing? Was it, oh, he didn't do something that I needed him to do? No, it was her holding it in for days and weeks from what she told me, and she couldn't take it anymore. And I don't blame her, and there's no shame and there's no judgment, because as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I know that, going on 19 years, I know that trying to hold on to a persona that you feel like, I need to show up a certain way, like I need to be like this and I need to be like this, or it's going to trigger my partner, or I can't really talk about how I feel. That's stressful. It's overwhelming, and it's not sustainable. I couldn't sustain it. I had all the tools, I had all the things, and I couldn't keep it in. Like, whatever PMDD was bringing up, like I always tell you, it rips the blanket off of every issue that you have. Whatever PMDD was bringing up was demanding me to recognize it. And until I got to that point where I was saying, okay, what is PMDD bringing up for me about my partner? And when I really got to the realm of practicing that, which I teach you as my private client, there was a lot of things that PMDD doesn't let you just ignore issues that you have with your partner. So you may get into PMDD and say, I'm triggered because I'm in PMDD. No, you've been triggered. You've been triggered. PMDD is just not allowing you to brush it over and to make it seem like it's not a big deal and all of these things. It's making you pay attention to what is going on. So I'm going to talk to you today about how PMDD and stress around the holidays are really going to impact your PMDD relationship. And the first sign is this increased emotional overload. Okay? So you now I'm going to take it back to me. I don't do a lot of big family social events during the holidays. That's just, it's a realm of my childhood trauma. I was adopted at the age of 5. I've been in foster care since 3. And then when I turned 17, my family pretty much tossed me, out into the world. And so since then, I've never had this kind of baseline for, oh, let me go home to be with the family, because they were actually paid to take care of me. And when they stopped getting paid, when I went into college and moved on with my practical life, their relationship with me was null and void. I was no longer good for them. And so I have structured my holidays around doing things that I enjoy, especially once I got married and became, a mom. And I had my daughter, I was 22 when I had my daughter. So I've been a mom for a very long time, and I've been married twice. Um, and both times I've recreated the holidays towards what was best for me and my immediate family. And by my immediate family, if I was married, it was my husband and my daughter. If I'm single, it's my daughter. And I have always been that way. So I've had minimal I've learned to protect my peace. And I'll teach you a little bit about that today. But I definitely know that it's easier to do this when you don't have a big family. So it's like a gift and a curse because I would love to be around a big family around the holidays and have all of these things going on and activities and things that we're doing and conversations and laughter. I don't have that. I have amazing friends. I have an amazing community around me, but I don't have that family aspect to it. And so when I'm going on vacation to Mexico and I'm in Cabo and I'm like laying on the beach during Christmas, I know a lot of times if you follow me on Instagram, if you're not following me, it's Dr. Rose underscore in love with PMDD. That's my username on Instagram and TikTok. And I vlog my journey every single day. If you see me going out, in which I have been, and I've just been enjoying my life and really just leaning into my community that has been like waiting for me to hang out with them. And I've just, decided like, you know what? I'm single. I'm dating. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do the things. And I actually had one of my prior podcast people that I've had on here, a guest, asked me, they were like, oh my gosh, you look so happy. And they said, are your PMDD symptoms better because you're single? And I hesitated for a minute, honestly, truly, because I'm going to be real with you, 100% real with you. I didn't want to say yes because when I was in a relationship, I always, preached that your partner's not the enemy, PMDD is the enemy, your partner has nothing to do with it. And I was completely separating the partner from all aspects of suffering in PMDD. And then when I became single after the breakup this past year, I was tracking my symptoms, which I do every day. So that really, really helps. And I did notice a decrease in my symptoms. And I'm going to tell you why, because I had to think about this. When I answer the question, number one, I'm always going to tell you the truth. So when he asked, I was like, yeah, actually, it was Chris, by the way. I mean, I'm like calling him out right now. He's probably going to be on another episode. He said he wanted to, but I said, yeah, like my symptoms are actually, I had to check my calendar to see what day of PMDD I was on or whether I was in PMDD. I've just been so busy and like finding me, getting back to the core of who I am, this self-love journey that I was in PMDD, but my symptoms were way, 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 way less. But not non-existent. So that's the thing. Like I see so many people on these forums that are like, my symptoms are gone away because I'm single. And I'm like, no, 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 my symptoms haven't gone away. They're just less. And by less, I mean, I still had the fatigue. I still woke up with anxiety. I still had the sensitivity to noise, the misophonia. I still had the paranoia. I mean, PMDD has like a billion symptoms, and I still had the bulk of them. They were just not as intense. And there were certain symptoms I just didn't have, like the depression. I just didn't feel depressed. And the anxiety was still there, but I just projected it in different ways. I like used it to work on projects. I've been on this really big project of my daughter calls it winter cleaning, of just purging everything because it's the end of the year. And I've literally gone through all the books that I have, and I have a billion. Oh my gosh, I had a bookshelf and I hated this bookshelf. And the reason why, it was a two bookshelves with like three. I'm like looking at it right now because I'm now using it as a shoe shelf. But I'm not like a wooden person. I'm more like a silver, like I love a silver decor, a white decor. Like I'm more of a gray, silver, white versus the brown. And these two bookshelves were brown and they just were like an eyesore. Matter of fact, if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever, like I don't even have them behind me. I used to have them behind me and it just bothered me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it down. And when I decided to get these storage bins for all my books, I had to go through every single book that I owned. And I was just trying to make sure that I genuinely wanted to keep these books and I wanted to give them away. So now I'm giving away like 50 books to charity, and I'm keeping a lot of them, but I'm like, I love reading, I love writing, but I'm committing to not buying any more books until I've like reread the books that I have. So I'm looking right now, I probably have like 40. I think I kept 40 to 50 books. And it's just my goal for this year to just get through the books, read them again, because every phase of your life when you're reading books, like you learn something different. So going back to my PMDD symptoms, I've been having an amazing time. I've been hanging out with friends, really going out, putting myself out there, as far as dating is concerned. And the reason why my PMDD symptoms are less is because I don't have any stress in my life. Um, I went to, where did I go? Was I at the spa? No, no, no. I am getting, I will say, oh my gosh, I'm sharing so much on here. I wasn't on birth control. I was just actually no, no, no. This is related. So I wasn't on birth control because after when I was in my past relationship, we were trying to have a baby, and you know about the miscarriage. If you don't know, just scroll back a year ago. So it's ironic. I was trying to have a baby with my ex, and then literally the month that we decided to break up, or I broke up or decided to file, that's when I got pregnant and had the miscarriage. When that happened, I literally was like, okay, that was my last ditch effort at having another child, because it was circumstantial. I'm totally fulfilled with my one daughter, and she's 15 right now. So I feel like when you get to a point and your child is at this age, having another child is a very conscious decision. I really felt like if I was going to have another one, when she was around 9 or 10 would have been ideal, which is exactly when I married my ex. And when it didn't happen, I made this appointment to go back. I used to have the copper IUD, um, the Paragard, and I took it out, or had it taken out. I know I took it out. Like I don't, but that'll be a whole nother episode about how I physically took out my own IUD. Like, like anyway, yeah. So I removed my IUD, and I haven't been on birth control since 2019. 2019, so about a year after I got married, because I was open to having another child. And now I'm at a point where, and this is really hard for dating, because I'm like at this point where yeah, I don't want any more kids. And for those of you who don't know, I'm being very vulnerable this episode, but I'm 39. I just turned 39 years old. Um, and I don't want any more kids. And I've never put a stamp on that. I've never said that. I've always been like, I'm open. I'll see how it goes. No, I don't want any more kids. And not because I've had a bad experience. I've had an amazing experience with my daughter. I'm so blessed. I'm so, so, so blessed. But I know for sure, like I just know for sure that I don't want any more kids moving forward. And so that's obviously narrowed like the dating realm, especially with PMDD. And so, but I just wanted to get the birth control back in. So I actually have an appointment in 2 days. I'm recording this on December 22nd. On December 24th, Christmas Eve. I'm not even sure why my doctor's office is open. I had an appointment last week. They rescheduled it for Christmas Eve. I was supposed to be out of town on vacation, and I canceled that just so I can get my birth control. I'm going to get my copper IUD back in. I had it in before. I didn't have any issues. I've obviously seen all the reviews on it. I'm obviously in a different realm of my life. I originally got it back in 2015, so it's almost 10 years later. So I'll bring you along on the journey and let you know how that goes. But I just know that I just want that comfort and knowledge of like I have something that, because you can keep it in for as long as like 10 years. And I don't want any, and then I feel like that's just gonna take me into menopause. Because I'm like 39, 49. Yeah. So I'll be fine. Um, Why was I talking about my birth control? Oh my God. Anyway, I think I was talking about how I was, oh, no stress. Yeah, so I'm not really dealing with any stressors in my life. I am actively dating, and that is, like I told you, I am working with my dating coach. I listen to him all the time. He's on TikTok. I'll put his link again in the show notes. Because honestly, I don't know if it's because I've always been married for the bulk of my life. Like I literally got married at 22, was married, and then waited 10 years and got married again. So I'm used to getting married and being in a relationship. And that's why I'm so good with relationships and commitment and all the things. What people do in between being single and committing to being married is beyond me. I'm still learning about it. And now I feel like it's like the dating realm is like very weird, but I'm very hopeful. I believe I'm not solely like leaning on the dating experience. Like I totally believe that what's meant for me will be for me. But it is wild, but I'm making the best of it and I'm having fun. And I'm having fun. And so simultaneously dating and coming home to myself, that's why there's really no stress because I'm not forcing anything. And I feel like I used to be in the realm of forcing things and it needed, like, if I go on a date with you, it needed to look like this. The outcome needed to look like this. Right now, I'm at a point where if I go on a date with you, and this is weird to say, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but now that I'm dating, I've gotten used to, and this is taking practice. This was not me immediately. I was mortified immediately that if I go on a date with you and we talk and we have a good time, I need to be okay if I never see you again. Like that's weird to me because for me, I'm very intentional with my time. Like, why would I talk to you and get to know you and tell you things about me and I may or may not see you again? Like, this is what I mean by people like holding stuff in and how I think it's so damaging because I would much rather someone just come out and say like what you're really thinking, what you're really feeling, like, hey, I'm not really feeling this, or hey, what you just said was a deal breaker, or like, but with this dating thing, you just really don't know until like after the date. And then you're like, okay, so we're good. Like, but so if you see my Instagram or my TikTok and you're seeing that I'm having a lot of fun, which I am, like it's very authentic. Um, that's why I don't have stress in my life. So because I don't have stress, my PMDD symptoms are less. That rhymes. And I am, at first, I felt a little bit, I'm going to be honest, like I felt a little bit guilty about that. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to share how like happy and free that I really am right now because I don't want them to think that it's solely because I'm single and like that means they should break up and be single and all of these things and blah blah. I would much rather be in a committed relationship, a monogam I gotta say this because like dating, you gotta be real specific. I would much rather be in a monogamous, committed relationship with a person that's my person that I love and adore, that I'm attracted to, that we have fun, that we travel, all the things. I would much rather, obviously, that's why I'm dating. So like I'm happy while I'm in this season of singlehood. I guess that's what I'll call it. But I am actively desiring to intentionally date. I do believe I want to date. I don't like, I just want to start with dating. I think I've really just skipped the steps and gone from single to a relationship. I'm just interested in dating someone. Like, I'm like the opposite of like the girl that you would think where she's like, oh, she wants to meet and immediately get married. Like, that used to be me. And now I'm like, I just want to date you for 24 months. Like I talked about it with my daughter because, you know, she's 15 and she hasn't dated. And so we were kind of talking about like, what do you think is the appropriate time to date before marriage and all these things? And I was like, I've never gone longer. The most I've gone is like 13 months, and then my ex that I was engaged to. So I guess I was still dating. He proposed, but he cheated on me before we made it like past that. But like that's the longest that I've actually dated and not been in a marriage. Like that's just, I'm just like I'm a relationship person. Obviously, I'm a relationship counselor at this point, but and I've always been like that. Like it's in me. It's in me. I was out to an event and dinner with girlfriends actually yesterday, and I was just sitting down, and the guy, when I sat down at the, because I love sitting at the bar, because when you sit at the bar, you get to talk to more people versus you're sitting at a table across from your friends, like you don't really get to talk to people. And he complimented my purse, and he was like, "Oh, I love your purse." It was like this purse of Paris, which I'm adore Paris. Haven't even been there. I've been like all around the world. Haven't been to Paris. I think I'm waiting for my 40th birthday. I don't know. Although Paris in November is not the best because I heard it gets really cold. Anyway, he was hot by the way. Anyway, so yeah, so he complimented that, and then we were just kind of like talking, and my friend was just noticing like people just open up to me like in public and thing, and I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. Like everybody has their gift. I genuinely believe everybody has their God-given gift. And mine is creating that safe space for people to just open up to. And that's not just with my private clients. Like if you've ever been around me, and I have a couple private clients that I see physically, like I'm the same. My energy is the same. Like you, you feel that I'm there with you, that I have your best interests, that I want to serve you with my whole heart, that I love you and want the best for you and want to relieve any stress. Like my big thing is peace and freedom. Like I want to give you peace and I want to give you freedom. I want you to just like let go of whatever's like making you feel heavy because I know what that feels like to feel really, really heavy and feel like you're trapped and stuck. And as I've always mentioned, I'm an Enneagram 7, I'm a Sagittarius. Being stressed and stuck and stifled and without peace is like my worst nightmare. And so whenever I'm on private sessions with you, like that is my goal to make you feel lighter, to make you feel more free, authentic to you and whatever brings you joy and peace and all the things. And so when I've been into this realm of really just being stress free, my symptoms have absolutely been impacted. And I'm not saying it like you can't have it too, because I feel so close to you and I want to bring you along on this journey with me. Like I'm not one of those people that are going to be like, oh, like you hear the people and they're like, I'm here and I used to be like this. And I don't want that. Like I saw a lot of people like that in actually the fitness industry. Because there was a lot of things that were going on recently. And I've seen people that are talked about how they've been really insecure with their bodies and how they've done all these things. And so I'm like, and I'm a very habit-based person. I'm a very habitual person. So I'm like, no, I've been following you like daily, like all the time. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they never shared their journey. So basically, when they were showing up and they were making it seem like they were super confident and super happy with their body and all these things, they really were not. And then a year later, they're like, yeah, a year ago, I was going through this. And I'm just like, when did that happen? Like, cause if I'm following you on social media, it's like it's like we're friends in real life. Like, I'm assuming that whatever is going on with you, like you're sharing with me. And I realized I I realize now that that's not a thing, but for me, if you follow me on Instagram and TikTok, which you need to, Dr. Rose underscore in love with PMDD, I will show you my journey. If I'm having a good day, I'll show you a good day. If I'm having a bad day, I'll show you a bad day. If I'm having an unorganized day, which was Friday, where I literally showed my whole condo that was filled with books and mess and all of these things. Like it's the messy middle. It's the true and authentic life. Like I just want you to feel like you can be open and honest about what's really going on with you Because I know so many times when you're in PMDD, you feel like you can't be open and honest with what's really going on with you. You feel like you have to be a certain way. And I know I never want you to feel like that, but I know what that feels like. And I know the pressure that that holds. And I know what PMDD does with pressure. When you feel pressure to act in a certain way, specifically with your personality, PMDD will make you pay for it. Because I've been there. I have paid for acting out of character when I'm in PMDD. PMDD, I felt like it punished me when I was in this realm of trying to act like I was the perfect wife and trying to act like I was this, and when I was really suffering. And a lot of times I feel like my partner was blindsided when I actually did go off where I was stressed and I was overwhelmed because he's like, "What are you talking about? I thought you were just fine." And it's like, I was never fine. And that's what I mean by the increased emotional overload. So I'm getting back to what it looks like when you're really stressed out in PMDD, you feel overwhelmed. You're planning holiday meals, you're planning shopping, you're hosting family events, you're having people come over. And the heightened stress, it amplifies your emotional sensitivity that you already have in PMDD. You have emotional sensitivity in PMDD, even in my peaceful days. I've had emotional sensitivity with friends and I'm like, "Oh, did she text me? Does she mean this? Does she mean that?" Like I've had that. So I still have PMDD symptoms, but I just if I don't have a partner, I just, I have them in other ways. I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like with my coworkers or people or I'm like, "Maybe I should do this." Like I overthink things. I get paranoid. Like it's PMDD. So because being single is not a cure for PMDD, I'm just living proof that I am single, I'm happy, I'm living a really good life, but I'm still experiencing PMDD symptoms. And so when you're experiencing this really stress and overwhelm, it's when you kind of snap at your partner for forgetting an item on the grocery list and you're saying things like you can't even handle one simple thing. I've been telling you again and again I need the lemons. Like I always use the lemons as an example because I love lemons. And so I just imagine if someone is telling their partner to go to the store and get lemons, like it's a big deal if they come home without lemons because I drink lemon water every day. But when you're in a relationship and you have PMDD and it's the holiday season, you can feel emotionally overwhelmed by dealing with everything on your own. And what this means is you're not communicating to your partner that you're stressed and you're overwhelmed and you're dealing with so much because you're trying to prove to them. There's almost this proving realm of like, I'm proving that I can do this and I'm proving that I can do that. When they're not even genuinely asking you to, but you just don't want to admit that because you're in PMDD, you can't do as much as you can do before. The reason why I don't have really any stressors. Oh, that's why I was mentioning my gynecology appointment because they had a questionnaire. And they're like, "What are the stressors that you have in your life?" And I'm like, "I actually don't have any because every single time I've gone into PMDD while I've been single, I've literally just lowered my expectation of how I show up. Like, I just know that I'm not going to have the same energy. I lower a lot of my engagements and my outings, and I just allow it. I genuinely allow it, but I know what it feels like to be in a relationship where you feel like you can't do that. Not because your partner's not letting you, but because you don't feel like you can without getting judged for it, without your partner mentioning it, without you feeling horrible for it. And that's why I created the program. My partner has PMDD. Now, what is to give your partner the opportunity to learn the tools of how to be a supportive PMDD partner when you're in those realms of not showing up the same way so that they don't make the mistake of triggering you even more, saying and doing things that are making you feel criticized and blamed and shamed for who you are. So if you've not gotten that program, there are currently 5 more spots for the month of December that you get the private session. We're on December 22nd. And yeah, go and get that. So the next thing is the financial stress, right? Around the holidays, you're spending extra money for gifts and events and it strains your budget. If you're already in the hole, I already know that there's a spender and a saver in every relationship. And I just want you to take the time and think about, are you the spender or are you the saver? I know for me, I'm a big saver, and I tend to attract spenders. But I tend to approach it in a way that I'm gentle enough where a lot of times, if we're married or we're living together, any of those things, that they allow me to manage the finances because I'm really good at it. I'm horrible at math. I suck. You can ask my daughter who's taking algebra and geometry and all the things. High school math is hard. But when it comes to money, for some reason, it clicks. Um, and so when you don't agree on how you're spending money around the holidays, that can add additional stress when you're in PMDD, because financial stress is going to lead to arguments and feelings of resentment. Maybe you feel like you should be buying everyone a gift, and then they feel like, oh, why did you spend money on that? We can barely afford the bills. Like, some people are very future minded where they're thinking about next month even before it's there. Like, you're trying to enjoy the moment and then your partner is pretty much talking about, no, because next month we have this going on. So why would we do this and all these things? And so now you're getting into the realm of arguing over finances, or maybe you're trying not to argue over finances. So you're holding it all in and you're making these commitments to how you're going to manage your finances, but it's not something that you actually are agreeing to. So the next way that stress can really creep up into your relationship is the overcommitment. So the PMDD partner agrees to multiple holiday gatherings without really thinking about how they're going to be suffering with their symptoms. Like, I have 75 parties that I've been invited to, and I'm going to go to all of them. Because I do believe that when you have PMDD, the ego comes in and you feel the need to prove. You're like, I need to prove that I'm good enough to do this, 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 and this. And so you force yourself to do these things, but you end up overstressing yourself in the process. And so what happens is, when you go off on PMDD rage, is you have fatigue. When you're tired and exhausted and you're overextending your trigger irritability and frustration because you've been triggered and you've been irritated and you've been frustrated, but you've been holding it in and you're tired, that's when you're feeling like you're going off on PMDD rage, and you start to yell at your partner. So maybe your partner can just say something to you when you're coming in the house from one of these events and like, hey, how was it? Or, oh, you didn't enjoy yourself. And then you yell at them and say, why can't you see that I'm already doing too much? Like, this is so much for me. Like, I'm doing this for you, or I'm doing this for the family, or blah, 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 blah. And then you have the realm of going off on your partner because you're fatigued, because you're stressed, because you're overwhelmed, not because of anything that they've specifically done, but the stress is just alluding to, it's just clashing with you. And so the next thing is the hormonal timing clashing with festivities. Like I said in the beginning, I wish that I could plan my PMDD around holidays, but there was a time in my life, I think it was like a year, where like every holiday landed on PMDD. And I was just like, oh my gosh, because the PMDD symptoms will really start to increase during the planning of the event. Like, it's not even the event itself, but when you're planning, you're trying to be the hostess with the mostest and all these things, you can begin to feel pressure to perform, and then you lash out when you can't. And that you're telling them, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. And it's like, and then you're telling your partner, I told you I wasn't up for this, but you forced me to come anyway. And it's like, even if you volunteered, you'll start to look for somebody to blame because you're stressed and you're overwhelmed. And so the next thing is, and it's a really, really big one, and it is the family dynamics, which is actually one of the um core modules in the course that I created called My Partner Has PMDD. Now what? Family dynamics and triggers, right? Spending time with critical or toxic family members are gonna make you feel more stressed out. That's one thing about me, is I've been in a lot of relationships where my partners have had toxic family members, and I've had to help them through that, because there's almost this obligation of, oh, we have to spend time with my parents, and we have to spend time with grandma or the aunties or the uncles, even if they've mistreated us, created traumatic events, like, because it's Christmas, it's the holidays, it's Hanukkah, it's Kwanzaa, It's the new year. It's like we have to spend time with them. But what happens is old wounds start to resurface. And so it's leading to a place of displaced anger towards your partner. Now you may be reacting to your partner in a way that's not based off of something that they did, but based off of a reaction that you're having from a traumatic event that's being brought up from you being in vicinity of these toxic family members. And so you may be able to lash out on your partner and say, you just stood there while they criticized me. Do you even care about me? Like, this is an example of you being in PMDD and going off on your partner because of something that your toxic family member has done. And it's no longer about the toxic family member. It's almost about you and how you're dealing with the stress of being around family while being in your luteal phase, while being in PMDD. And so the next thing that can happen around the holiday season with having PMDD is the lack of downtime. I just talked about this earlier today on my stories on Instagram. Again, Dr. Rose underscore in love with PMDD, about creating 3 things that you're doing daily during the holiday season that's going to reduce your stress while you're experiencing PMDD. For me, it was one daily walk. And on the walk, I do like mindful meditation. And so I do that. And then I also have my headphones on. I do music therapy. And then I move my body in some way, exercise, whether it's, and now it's been super intuitive, where someday I'm doing like running, or someday I'm doing like high intensity, or someday I'm doing yoga, Pilates, bar, like all the things. I just pay attention to my body, but I just commit to 30 minutes of movement, whatever that looks like. If I do longer than 30 minutes, that's great, but I'm just committing to 30 minutes. So it's 30 minutes of that. It is my mindful meditation. It's my time with God and really connecting and getting that downtime. So that has really lowered my stress and lowered my PMDD symptoms. But when you're dealing with PMDD and you don't have that downtime and you have busy schedules and you don't have any room for self-care or relaxation, you become irritable due to exhaustion because you're not getting sleep, because you're thinking about all the things that you have to do. And then you're trying to find little pockets of time to get peace. And so you go off on your partner and say, why can't I just have 5 minutes of peace without someone needing anything? Maybe your partner is pulling on you for things where you're thinking that they are, and then your kids are pulling on you for things, and then you're getting bitter at your partner for not taking the kids and allowing you to have that time. So you're really just in this realm of being completely stressed out. And so the next thing is the unrealistic expectations. So you can create this scenario of having the perfect holiday, and it can add more stress to your PMDD relationship because now you're feeling like, I need to make everything perfect so nobody thinks that there's anything wrong with me. And then if anything goes wrong, if a pie is molded, if something's not there, then you have this disappointment because of your unmet expectation, and it leads to blaming your partner because you're starting to look like, how can I tie what has gone wrong to your partner? You should have gotten me the lemons. If I would have had the lemons, this dish would have been amazing. Or you ruined everything by not helping. Now the whole day is a disaster. Like, these are things that you're saying to your partner because you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling stressed and you're feeling overwhelmed. So the next thing that happens is the, reduction in intimacy. Obviously, when you're stressed and you're irritable and you're overwhelmed, you don't have any time for the emotional and physical connection. You're kind of operating on autopilot. They're trying to connect with you emotionally and physically, and you're just being very stoic. You're like, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. So the partner without PMDD may feel rejected or unimportant or not valued or not attractive or not wanted or not desired. And that's horrible. When you're in a relationship and you don't feel like you're wanted and desired, number one, it makes your partner feel horrible. Number two, you're leaving the door open for them to find that somewhere else. Because I guarantee you, even if you're at the point where you're in PMDD and you don't find your partner attractive, somebody will. Remember, I told you I was with that partner that cheated on me. Granted, I don't think they cheated on me because they were like, it was like a long distance thing, but I do believe that when people have certain needs to feel wanted and desired and they don't get that, it just leaves the door open for it. Doesn't give them permission. Absolutely not. But I feel like it's a dangerous place to be where you have a lack of emotional intimacy and then you're not pouring into your partner. Like your partner will start to think you're always mad or you're always distant. Like, do you even want to spend time with me anymore? Like that's what they're going to be thinking in their mind. They're going to feel like you don't even want to be with them. Like I've had partners when I've shut down and be like, I truly believe you hate me. And I'm just like, what? So the big thing about right now is the social media comparisons. Oh my gosh, where the PMDD partner is going to feel inadequate seeing everybody's perfect holidays posted online. Everybody's in matching pajamas, everybody's smiling, everybody's on vacation. If you're having financial strains and you're not able to go on vacation, if you're barely talking and nobody wants to get in matching pajamas, all this frustration is directed at the partner for not perceiving a lot of these standards. Like, oh, if you did this, we could be like that. Like, if you helped more, we'd have a holiday that we could post online. So now they become responsible for the fact that, you know what I mean? Like, you're in this place of not showing up the way that they feel that you can show up. So the way that you really handle the holiday stress and PMDD is communicate, 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 communicate. If you've not gone to inlovewithpmdd.com, get those PMDD relationship reset sessions. I've been working on a lot of strategy sessions for my clients, giving them the homework, finding out specifically what's going on for their specific holiday season. What does that look like? And you have to communicate and you have to have a plan. The next thing is boundaries. You have to set limits on events. You can't do all the things. I don't want you to do none of the things, but you can't do all the things. So you really need to sit down and think about what is most important, right? And the next thing is self care. I need you to really, this self love journey that I've been on, which is really prioritizing rest, spending time alone, having coping strategies during high stress periods. When I do get stressed, I do get overwhelmed when things happen, but I've found that I'm now able to take the space to manage it. So I don't want you to feel like I don't have those symptoms in me anymore. I definitely do, but I know what to do when I have them. And the next thing is um the teamwork. Really just getting on the same page. This is when we have the PMDD strategy sessions and you're just really getting on the same page about what's going to happen during the holidays. You have shared goals, you have shared responsibility, you have shared support. You're basically saying, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, this is what I need help with. And you're feeling like your partner's in the realm of wanting to help you without you feeling like, oh, they're helping me. I guess that means I'm inadequate. I guess that means that no, they're wanting to help you because they're wanting to help you. And you're in this situation because you're valuing being in a relationship and not having to do it all on your own. But the way that you do that is not by nagging your partner and yelling at them and saying, you need to do this and you need to do that. No, you're just getting into the realm of saying, this is what I need help with. And I really, really appreciate you. So if this is something that you know that you need help with and you're not currently seeing me and getting those private sessions, go to inlovewithpmdd.com, get those PMDD relationship reset sessions, enroll in the program. We only have a couple more days in December to get into my program. My partner has PMDD. Now what? And get the private sessions that are going to be customizing them to your PMDD relationship. So go to inlovewithpmdd.com, get those sessions. Follow me on social media every single day. If you need tools, if you need support, if you need to DM me, we got this. Love you. I hope these tools help you and your PMDD partner. If you have not enrolled to get the course, My Partner Has PMDD, now what? Then you want to make sure that you are one of the first 12 individuals that gets the course for the month of December to get that complimentary private session with me. And then after that, it'll go back to regular price without the private sessions. But what this course is going to do for you is give your partner all of the tools that they need on how to be a supportive PMDD partner. What does that look like? I always say that your partner doesn't need more information. They need more implementation. They need more transformational tools. And this is the program for you. So I'm looking forward to you getting those tools in the program. And until next episode, we got this.